Alrighty, guys, look at that. We got the cam back. That's right. So if you didn't know, this is me with about a little over 2 weeks worth of stubble going on. If you didn't know, my barber, she actually was having her first kid, so she was gone for a bit. She came back, so I wanted to give her something fun to deal with. So I'm gonna do a full setup for my birthday later today with my barber and see how her baby's doing. But today we need to get into some technical analysis. Thank you so much for the early happy birthday wishes. The day is finally here. I can show you guys some of the gifts that I've gotten and some of my stuff if you want to see that. But for the most part, we need to do some technical analysis for today. Okay, so we need to understand early on that I didn't put out a YouTube video last night because we're still looking like one thing is happening. We're trying to pull back. This is a 1 hour chart. Screw that. 2 hours starting to say, hey, we're still pulling back. Now we're starting to see that move up. Remember that 30-minute chart crossing up. We can head towards that weekly expected move. We gravitate towards it, but daily expected moves are necessary for today. A little bit, pretty much the same, if not a little bit bigger than yesterday. Range for today, we do have 564.94 to the upside. And of course, I'm hiccuping. I chugged my coffee already. 556.30 to the downside for the SPY. So what we need to pay attention to today is, remember, this was on the verge of crossing up. It was on the verge of crossing up, and that could happen in the first 30 minutes of the day. Now, what is the percentage that we end up here by the end of the week? Well, it's 32% to end somewhere up here. So this little area right here is where I'm going to pay attention, because we could get that 68% chance for a drop come by Friday. So this is our 68% zone for underneath that weekly expected move. But this area right here might be very important today. So that's something to pay attention to. I don't think this line really matters. Let's get that off of there. So if you are tuning in right now, or if anyone needs to tune in and see these daily ranges, make sure to remind them in the chat that, hey, they can go to the beginning of the video real quick in the first 2 minutes and get those on their chart. That's why we're going to switch right over to the Qs. All right, so we see the Qs. We have a decent size range, a little bit bigger, I think, than yesterday, just a tiny bit. And we have 488.14 to the upside, and we have 476.86 to the downside. Remember, this is the annual expected move, by the way, 492.28 for the Q. So if we do get that move up, okay, that's awesome. But do we set up a point of divergence right in this area? This is the key area I would be paying attention to for resistance today. So get these up on your chart. Make sure these are on your chart today so we can pay attention to this as we get into some more technical analysis. And just a quick note, I still will be putting out those daily expected moves for all the stocks that we cover on this channel. That would be Apple, Tesla, Amazon, Nvidia, AMD, Meta, Microsoft, Google, AMC, GME, and the Palantir, which is seeing another cross up. You saw that cross up at the end of the day. You see this? That's enough reason for us to start to head up because of the swing trade on the 30-minute. Now we have to see if that's going to be a prolonged move or if that's going to fade. But I really like this look. This is a fantastic look. Okay, so what could we expect? Probably a decent sized move, probably something like this one over here, which would maybe lead you up into some kind of trend line, right? The kind of channel we've been in for a little bit here for Palantir. So that's something to pay attention to. As we look forward, we notice volatility is dropping off still. 30-minute hasn't curled up. Pay attention if that does curl up. That can mean big things, but the 2 hour looks like it's about to cross. So if the 2 hour is able to cross this morning, that is something to pay attention to. It might mean there is a downturn coming, but it might just be not right now. And maybe we set up some kind of divergence that's really close to the center line. That's when I would be paying very close attention. And that might even link up into when Jerome Powell is talking on Friday. So that would be very interesting. One thing I did notice, the dollar still giving some flagging pattern for the most part. It did set up a tiny little 2 hour divergence. We'll see if this can roll up some 4 hour charts. I believe that's probably about to roll up, and there it is. So right now the dollar is confirming some 4 hour divergence. So you just have to be aware that the correlation right now is very much so, hey, the dollar heads up and stocks are heading down. Today, at least this morning, we're noticing the dollar is up and the market is up. So if we're going to keep that correlation, then most likely the SPY might be lying to us this morning, but we have to pay attention to what happens after that first hour of the day. As far as the PCC goes, you were sitting right in the middle, okay? You were sitting right in the middle for that one, so there's nothing really to do there. Just saying, hey, it's kind of right in the middle. That's what you have to pay attention to. For a lot of stocks, it's just going to be, is there a 30-minute curl up? And is that 30-minute curl up making a divergence? I could really see that and make that weakness in momentum that causes that 2 hour pullback. So good morning. Welcome. I hope you guys have a great trading day ahead of you. I wish you all good luck, and I'm excited to get started this morning. I'll see if I'm able to do some closing stream, or at least a YouTube, maybe a short YouTube video just to get you those daily expected moves, just a little 10-minute video maybe, just so you can get those daily moves on your chart. I think that would maybe be a little bit helpful. So happy B-Day. Thank you, Kalani. Really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for the birthday wishes. I really appreciate it. And Leo, thank you for saying, hey, great content. I really appreciate that. Carlos, good morning, and thank you for the happy birthday as well. Star Gabo is here saying salutations. Jason, BK, Robert, Kenny, thank you guys all for being here this morning. Make sure to like the video for my birthday, right? Give me a like for my birthday. That's all I need. A couple of likes, right? W Trader, what up? So as we look forward, though, we got to pay attention to things that are rolling up, and so just keep your eye on this dollar. It still looks flaggy, right? You see this on the 30-minute. It still looks a little flaggy, so see if things can still rotate down. Dollar's been dropping dramatically, which you would expect. That would be a good thing for gold. But it's kind of turning into it's not, right? So remember, we were checking this for, I believe it was Mark was asking for the gold futures. Was it Mark? What we were saying was, watch out, because this 4-hour divergence here could prove to be some weakness, and it looks like we're getting some of that weakness. Now, it's still not anything too dramatic, so you have to pay attention to those little 2-hour curl-ups. You see the 2-hour down here by the center line, right? That curls up. You can see another positive move. But as we have confirmed 4-hour divergences, the daily scale might be able to roll over here, and you do still have divergence all the way across from these highs over here. So what it mainly tells me is, maybe gold, it needs some kind of retest of something like, in the futures at least, you would say about 2,400, 2,450, somewhere in there, 2,450, something in there would be nice. Jesus loves me. Yes, he do. Jesus loves me. How about you? Well, you know. So what do you guys think? Little over 2 weeks? I was trying to make it like a mess for my barber. I was like, let's just really, I'm doing neck hair, I'm doing all of it. If I'm gonna pay for it, then I like to do this too. I like to curl the stash. Anybody else? We'll go look at Nvidia and Tesla as well. Let me see. Is that curly? Pretty curly. Anyway, I'm trying to look like Captain Hook or whatever. As we go look at things like Nvidia and Tesla, it's going to be similar things across the board. The daily scale has turned up. That means daily momentum is with Tesla, but it would make sense for a 2-hour pullback right now. Now you're seeing this upside move. That means this pullback could still take place, but maybe the timing is just a little bit off. Maybe we need to go hit a big point of resistance, right? So where would that resistance be? Well, you would say somewhere right around that 23 to 24, or 233 to 234, I think in this zone here would prove as some resistance. So if we're able to see that full curl up, we'll pay attention. We'll see if that dollar is moving up while stocks are moving up. You know, that's something we can pay attention to, and we'll look at that PCC if people are getting excited. Now let's see real quick. The other one was Nvidia. Nvidia, again, 30-minute curls up. Good. You're by the center line. So if you're going to head higher, we just want to watch for if a lot of these charts start to do this. If a lot of these charts start to do this, because this is going to be the curl over to pay attention. Now, if that doesn't form, then you're going to probably go make a big new high. We're going to see something crazy and continue the craziness. Now, I'm more leaning towards, hey, we go make a 30-minute divergence. We get outside of those weekly expected moves, right? We make some kind of little 30-minute that's really close to the center line. And then we see, oh, okay, so this curls up like this. We go like this for just a brief moment, and then we curl over. That's what I think will take place as the dollar starts to pop, but I'm aware of different things that can happen. Just note that a 30-minute divergence up here, I would still treat this like it could be bad. I still think that the overall look that will happen is the 2-hour creates some divergences. That will be a really telling moment. I think they're going to want to trap some people above the high, drop this thing off, and then curl it right back up. And then we might see this type of look going forward, going into maybe even October. So something like this could take place. I think that's what I'm really leaning towards. But I just want you to be aware, you have to pay attention if this drops dramatically, because that can mean some other things on the daily scale, right? The daily scale can roll over. We could get some kind of double top and start to curl down. And if you curl down into negative territory, maybe this is the bigger downturn than this one right here. Maybe this goes and cuts that low, and then we see this type of behavior here. What would this shape up for you? Left, you see the neckline here, left, head, ooh, right shoulder. Just some ideas to keep in mind. And I think as you draw out these ideas, it can encourage you, hey, let me really look at things and know that things could scale up quickly on the sell side. So I need to be aware of those. And if they curl back up, that's fantastic. Good morning, Claudio. Robert saying I got a lot of money. I got $900 in SVMH, a little penny stock. Let's go look at a penny stock. Whoa! When did you get it? Is my goodness, now you have $1,800 if you bought it yesterday. But the big thing here, you know, I say this all the time with penny stocks. Really, the time to pay attention is when you see it crossed up near that center line, and this is much closer to the center. Even here was a time to pay attention, right? And then you see that curl up of the daily right here as well. That was a big move. So once it goes into positive territory, good stuff can happen. So this is seeing some upward price action. Now, with all these lows, what do I want to look for here? Something good to look for if you're seeing this type of look on a daily and the chart just looks kind of wonky down here on the MACD, even though it did get you closer to the center line, so that's great. Once you get close to the center line, you can start to pay attention, right? You could pay attention here, scale-ins all in this area, and they probably would benefit you over time. What are we noticing from the weekly scale though? When I see this look and I see this tapering, I want to see if there's any great signals for me. You see the weekly scale going up and up and up, but what does the RSI tell you? Well, it's really been pointing in that upward direction, so we can see some upside there. Sometimes if you really want to convince yourself there's good momentum, just blow that up a little bit. This is a 1 day, maybe go into a 3 day. I know that's weird, but you can go into a 3 day and see where is that going towards positive territory. So I think that's a very, very cool thing to look at there. But the daily scale turning up is the main point here. Curled up on the daily scale, got the swing trade signals. Now you're getting that last swing trade signal being actually, in this case, the RSI that's going to cross this morning. So if I missed out on this move, I'd be looking for a 15, 30 minute or a 2 hour pullback. Love the beard, looks good. Yeah, trying to curl it, trying to get that thing real curly. There we go, there we go, there we go, there we go. I'm more of a stubble guy, more of a light shadow kind of guy, but I like it. Oh yeah, let's go look at Siri. I know some people have been asking about Sirius XM Holdings lately. The key thing here is this a positive bar? Technically, this is. So even though this looks really bad, you have to note this bar is still positive. But what you want to do is, if I see that daily crossing up and the bar kind of looks like this, hopefully I'm looking at it before the close, right? But what I can see is, are we getting that 30-minute pullback? Okay, so if I know the 30-minute is already pulling back, let's say I miss out on the big move up, but that just crossed, am I gonna buy it right here? I'm gonna wait to see what happens throughout the day and then see, okay, does that 30-minute pull back for me at this point? And then see another upside move. That would be more of a telling moment. And then after you get rid of that, you have potential to see bigger moves, in my opinion. The daily scale has crossed up, so if that 30-minute can cross up, I would expect positivity. Top of Bollinger, possibly the 200. Remember, you ran into a bunch of problems here, so you need to get through that, pretty much the price point of about $4 to really see some positivity, and I think that's great. But you do have a low, right? You see the divergence. This was a fantastic play. Divergence, hold that, maybe a 2 month, you know, some kind of 2 month play, and boom, you see that move. That's fantastic. Now you have a higher low. So that's a big deal. And if that 30-minute can curl up, you might be able to get past the 200, but I think you got to make sure to get above $4 here. And Buffett did buy Sirius. Yes, he did. Yeah, I've seen that a lot, and I think that's very, very cool. So we can flip back over to the SPY as the day starts, and we see this 30-minute already crossing up most likely. Yep, there's your cross up. So now you want to pay attention to probably the first couple hours of the day and see if we can get up to this area and then see something bad happen. That would be some kind of profit taking or something like that. Then maybe bad news comes tomorrow or something. But for the most part, you would say momentum is weakening here. We'll pay attention to what the dollar's doing in that area. We'll pay attention to the PCC. I've never looked at GeoVax. I don't think I've ever looked at this before, but a lot of the is this a biotech in some way, I'm assuming? A lot of the biotech is good stuff these days. So one thing I would note here is this is going to look a lot similar to what we're talking about actually with Sirius, right? You see the big breakout moment, big move. Oh, I'm going to YOLO in at the top. No, not necessarily. If we go over to the daily scale, what do you notice? This thing did cross over in advance, so that's a fantastic move. And if I missed out on it, what would I first be doing? I'd be looking for that 30-minute pullback, and then that curls back up into positive territory, more positivity to come. So if we're going to head higher, wouldn't it be a nice cup and handle type moment? Wouldn't it be interesting if that got too excited, though, and didn't make that handle, and then we see a divergence? That's what I'd be paying attention to with GeoVax. Not a bad look. I like this 30-minute play. After a big move like this, usually you'll see a second one. So now you have to see, is it going to create that weakness and momentum and get too excited? Or is it going to cup and handle so the structure is a little bit better? When you have a video, I've subscribed to your channel at both homes in Florida and Texas. Hey, thank you so much, Bernie. Really appreciate it. How's Florida and Texas treating you? Tomorrow, I'm going to have the camera on again and show you guys the transformation. Because my hair is pretty long, too. You just can't tell. I've had a hat on this morning because it was raining outside when I was letting the boys out. Letting the boys out. I had a fantastic... This might be the best birthday I've had in a long time as far as gifts go. I'm not going to lie. I think this might be the best one ever. I got a ton of cool stuff for the range, so I'm very excited about that. Let's look at the Dow as well, seeing that breakout to the upside. Now, the Dow's a little bit different. This can see an extended move because look how much that has really come down, and you're just now getting the first curl. So you can see some upside from this. We just have to pay attention if that dollar starts to scale up a little too much. I think that'll be very telling. IWM not really experiencing that positivity. You notice that? It doesn't look as strong. Well, this is the one that got too excited, right? It's not really with the market. It's trying to lead the market, I guess. And you'll see a 30-minute divergence. If that plays out, this could be an early signal that the SPY and the Qs might do the same thing. Tesla is starting to roll again here. So rolled up, now rolling right back down. So Tesla's going to be a little confusing one. Looks like it needs more consolidation. Maybe this 2-hour pullback will be a little bit more in order to see that upside. We'll see. NVIDIA, great little move to start off the morning, though. 30-minute divergence, what I'm paying attention to. As you gap above the resistance level, you notice you gap above it. So a gap above this level makes sense. Now you got to see, is this going to gap, go up a little bit, and then start to fade? I think you got to be paying attention to that. Yeah, hot in both places. It's been humid here. It's been like raining in the morning, and then it's hot all day, so it's just like sticky outside. You know what I mean? Not very fun when it's all gross out there. We do have the 10-year and the 2-year about to, they're still getting close to an inversion. Just keep your eye on those throughout your day. I just like to keep them up on my here. I don't need any kind of fancy chart. I just need to see if they're getting closer together or further away. And that's not really going to help you too much, right? The signals are going to help you the most, but it's good to be aware when that 2-year does dip below the 10-year. That will be a big moment to pay attention. That kind of is your marker for, hey, we could see something bad over, you know, anytime from then to 18 months from then. Oh, I was like, what the heck is that? Wonder if Palantir is going to hold this in any way. It's running into some resistance up here. It's got a bunch of divergences, really close to going negative. We'll see. I think it depends a lot on... Ooh, Mara's seeing it dip down too. I think it depends a lot on what's going to happen with the dollar. I think it really does. Are we going to see that thing extend higher? Are we going to experience some weakness here? Is this a fake out in some way? We'll find out. Mara starting to get a roll just a little bit. If it needs to reload, this would be the area, right? We talked about this. We talked about this. We talked about how this looked great on a 2-hour. Now you've built up to a key level. You get one more dip down. You might have an opportunity with Mara just around the corner. If you can see that curl down and curl back up, that would be a fantastic look. Something you can look at is Bitcoin. Bitcoin giving another, I would say in this 30-minute move, not the best to pay attention to 30 minutes, but we do see a slightly lower high, which is a little bit worrisome, but you're officially coming up into this area with this wick. So we'll see if it's still going to carve out more liquidity, more of a right shoulder. Because look at all this liquidity in here. This is a bunch of bars on a 2-hour, right? This is a bunch of bars. So if you're able to still build up and boom through this, then you would expect a pretty decent move. I think 63,000 is on the horizon as long as we can remain positive. If this starts to curl down, gotta treat it like it's bad, right? You're cutting through some key stuff here, so you gotta treat it like that could be bad. But if that curls back up, good things can happen. Maybe we're just building even more liquidity in this overall move. So we kind of go like this. We're getting a little bit tight, right? We're getting tighter and tighter. We'll see what happens. Good morning, Frankie. How you doing? Looks like good stuff all across the board, though. I dig it. See if anything is going on as far as financial news goes. Let's see here. Why is McDonald's Instagram going nuts? And Deutsche Bank. Let me read a little bit about Deutsche Bank real quick. Apparently Deutsche Bank is getting called out for closing certain accounts for some possible political views, I would say geopolitical views. Interesting. Now, Hollow, we can go check in a second. I'm going to go check over on AMC because this one on a 2 hour is what I'm paying attention to. Looks like we're kind of consolidating in this area for the most part, seeing if we can get a breakout at some point. This 2 hour curling up, though, this morning is a good sign. We'll see if that's able to hold. It seems that, you know, you have to keep into consideration every single Friday, AMC will close around $5 unless you see something crazy. That's just how it's going to be. If you're not seeing something crazy, then most likely if you see a little blip like this up to 515 or something like that, that can be good for the daily scale to turn up. You just need that to follow through and get through some key levels, 536. But if that just remains here and then Friday hits, you can just end up right by $5 again. That's just how it's going to work. GME, it seems like that 21 to 23 level is where it always likes to land. So we'll see if this is able to curl back up into positive territory. But you're wondering why that dollar is coming down dramatically too, as with the stock market just leaks higher and the dollar was coming down dramatically. What if they're investing money somewhere else? You know, you always got to think about that. What if they're going into TLT, all these other things? Well, what you would say at this moment is, they're pulling out of TLT, and TLT is doing something cool here, which is, well, it's built up to that area where you could get some consolidation to head higher. I don't necessarily want to say a perfect cup and handle, but for the most part, you would also look at this and go, is this some kind of double top? So there is a reversal signal here on the 2 hour. Can this roll around the daily chart? Well, the daily chart can roll down for a pullback. So weirdly enough, that's what TLT is saying. I'm not necessarily leaning towards that since we're going to get a cut, but it would make some sense for this to pull back in this area according to the signals. Let's go through these. I'm trying to look at the chat as much as possible here. AVGO, great move up, but the only thing that's worrying me here is this is some great sideways behavior. Was the 2 hour able to roll back up? Okay, if the 2 hour rolls up and you see some of that, see like this go wham like this, and then curl back down, you have to be aware there's 2 hour divergence here. Daily scale can suffer a little bit from that. But the positive thing would be, hey, we're going up to this point. Maybe this is some kind of structure that is forming here. If we do dip down on that 2 hour, maybe that turns back up and the daily scale isn't able to roll over. So you're looking if that daily scale rolls over. That's pretty much the look here, in my opinion. Clove, and then we'll look at Hollow real quick. Let me drink some water. Clove, strong move. Strong move, setting up a bunch of divergence points, but every single curl up is strong. That's why you look for these 30-minute curl ups, right? Pretty decent move here, curls up, pretty decent move here, curls up, pretty decent move here. Then we curl up while the price action still heads up. Now you're starting to create those divergences, which just tells you, hey, we can experience pretty much a 2 hour pullback at any time. We're making that next point. You can kind of see how we did get a blip in the MACD right here. That kind of tells you, oh, this can be held as some divergence, and that divergence on the RSI is very downward direction. So Clove actually could experience a bigger 2 hour pullback is what that means. 2 hour pulls back, and this has been a rapid move, so maybe a retracement of that big move there would happen, come down into a golden pocket, and then be able to turn back up. So 2 hour curls down, 2 hour curls up. I think that's more the opportunity with Clove, in my opinion. Hollow, looking at that, I know a lot of people have been interested in this lately. Well, what's happening with Hollow on the bigger time frames? Because it is so small, so down there that you have to pay attention. Is this getting close to the center line? Yes. Did we reject the crossover? Yes. Did we get above some of the moving averages? Yes. We're very tight here. You can see an explosive move. So more so also looking for the weekly scale. The weekly scale looks wonky, but you would say, hey, there are divergences here. So there is a moment possibly coming for Hollow to see some positivity. That's all I would really look into at that moment. Thank you, Nazim. Great morning. Can't get right. Great morning. But main thing to pay attention to is the market, the dollar, see if we're seeing any rigged moves. And then once we see that behavior, we can look for reversal signals in individual stocks. That's what we're probably going to end up doing today. We're going to be looking at the SPY, looking at the dollar, looking at volatility, and then going, okay, is the PCC where people could get trapped? Yes, it is. Okay, then are we getting reversal signals? That's kind of it. EH. Oof, great move. Daily crossed up a few days ago with divergence, so that's a big deal. If you don't really like this divergence across the way because it's kind of flat, well, you got one right here on the RSI that convinced you when this crosses up, it could be a good thing. So right here was the opportunity. You get that 2-hour pullback, 2-hour crosses back up, right? 2-hour pulls back, 2-hour crosses back up. That's when you know most likely there is some positivity. That daily scale has turned up. So positivity can be had. And look at that. It's a great move from that curl up right here around 1212 all the way up to 1382. Great move. So that's how you'd look at it. From this point forward, though, the 2-hour is overbought. Maybe a 30-minute pullback is what you're looking for, or a 2-hour pullback is what you're looking for. But daily momentum can take over. It's just you're not in the best position just yet. Are you too optimistic that SRS could bounce, Leo? Oh, the real estate? Okay, so real estate here. A lot of the time with real estate, I would like to do bigger time frames. Just looking at that from the bigger time frame. I don't think you're crazy for thinking this could bounce. I'm sure you've got like divergence across the bottom here. Yeah, you do. You have a divergence on the RSI. So I don't think you're crazy for it, but you don't necessarily see those reversal signals yet. So maybe a 4-hour would actually help you here. You notice that 4-hour is curling down. So you'd want that 4-hour to curl back up. Then you would say, okay, daily's got a good shot to see some upside. Dollar is actually rising a little bit here with that 4-hour cross. Just so you're aware, the market is up. The dollar is up by 0.25. The market is up by 0.39. So this is the dollar going up while the market's going up. Remember, they've been pretty negatively correlated. So now they're going back to positively correlated, which is when you start to see some break behavior and things start to catch up. What do you think of the swing trade on CleanSpark? Oh God, SK? Yeah, SK. Got to remember all the tickers. I don't mind it by any means. Right here was when 2 of the signals were confirming at 1166. Now you're seeing that upside. So you just look at the shorter time frames, and what do you notice here? Well, we did get this dip down. We curl up. We dip down. That's probably pretty good structure. Now that's a 4-hour. My bad. Daily crossed up yesterday. So this would be overall a signal that, hey, we can see some positivity. No, you can get to that breakdown area. That's really where you could run into some problems. As you look into something a little tighter, like a 2-hour, you can start to see that structure a little better. Left, maybe a tiny head, a little right shoulder. So make sure this is going positive. It is. And I think that once you get to this area, you could start to run into some problems. We'll see what happens from there. But the daily just crossed over. So I like the look overall, and the 30-minute pointing up. So if you're able to get, you need some breakout moment though. You really need a breakout moment for this guy to get like extremely overbought on a 30-minute, consolidate, and then get overbought again. But swing trade for CleanSpark, I don't mind it at all. Just something that I would pay attention to today, if say I didn't have the longest out option or something like that, is does the 30-minute curl down here? Because even if the 30-minute curls down, that can still be just reloading one more time. But I want to treat that like, hey, that could be bad because it's a daily crossover, so I want to be careful with it. Ooh, that goes like that. That's something I'd pay attention to. You're not seeing that right now, so daily momentum can still take over. I like this daily chart, actually. It's deep. Okay, now one thing that we talk about in the swing trading course, though, is how deep the MACD is. So what does that tell you? That tells you it's going to take a lot of work for this to go back into a positive trend, right? So we need to make sure to keep note of that and say if that rolls over at any time, that can be bad. So if you get that breakout moment, just watch if that daily rolls over. If it doesn't, then you're going to see that 2-hour or 30-minute pullback and continue to rise up. Peter, thank you so much for the $1.99. Little happy birthday present there, huh? Thank you guys for the happy birthday wishes. And let's do ASTS. Josh will look at NVIDIA in a moment. So this one here, it's like if I missed out on all this good price action, am I going to YOLO into anything or just look for 2-hour pullbacks? Well, I'm going to look for 2-hour pullbacks. What do we notice? Well, 2-hour pulled back a bunch in this area, but when it got that breakout moment, continued positivity was there. So now the 2-hour is saying, hey, I could be pulling back here, and this might be the moment for that 2-hour to actually pull back. And if you're going to see more positivity, we'll go sideways like we did here, or we're going to dip down a little bit and curl up and make that structure to head higher. So the opportunity might be here in a moment if that 2-hour can curl back up into positive territory. Yeah, Nvidia can take some big chunks from you. What'd you end up doing this week? Has been good profit. Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah. So now the key thing with this was ever since we saw the good signal, that's when this really was beneficial. So now we have to pay attention as this thing gets really, really excited. Yeah, we've moved sideways, but is it enough to really get that next big strong move? Well, if this 30-minute curls up, that's one sign it can happen, but you need that 2-hour to curl up as well. Right now, I think a divergence would make sense. You still can head higher. You have a weekly expected move a little bit higher. Oh, Mark, was there data today? I didn't think there was data today. Oh, yeah, we did get flash PMI a little bit lower. There it is from Peter, the 199. Thank you so much for donating to the channel. Really appreciate it. Yeah, the dollar is just going and going and going. So this is what we wanted to pay attention to. Originally flagging, still probably a little within the flag. We'll see if that can really break above this high here. But for the most part, you would say, uh-oh, PCC is low, dollar is high, SPY is high. So all of this is saying that there is some insider selling behind the curtain. All right, guys, give me 1 second. I'm gonna go use the restroom. I forgot to use the restroom before I started. So let me go use the restroom real quick and I will be right back. And this is my be right back signal, right? This is my I'm gone or I'll be right back signal. All right, there you go. I'll see you in a second. All right, and we're back. We're back. That was a quick one. It was quick. Get that video up for you guys. Yeah, so this is more the behavior we are used to when catching these tops, was when the dollar starts to scale up and the market overall is trying to get excited to the upside. That's kind of a trap signal. We'll see if things confirm, though. The dollar has to continue to rise, right? It has to continue upward. How you guys doing today? I'm doing pretty good. I don't know about you guys. I'm having a good day. It's my birthday. I gotta have a good day. It's my birthday. I hate the fact that on my stash, this doesn't grow. It's like I have a gap in my teeth. Like I do. I do have a little gap here. But thank you guys so much for the happy birthday wishes. How do you read a chart with the MACD crossing up on the 30-minute but crossing down on the 2-hour at the same time? It means to me that, so like, okay, I think I get what you're saying. So like the 30-minute kind of maybe looks like this, right? Kind of maybe looks like this right now. And the 2-hour is saying, oh, but we need to be pulling back, or this is just starting. So what I would pay attention to is the timing might be off, right? That could tell you the timing might be off, meaning that next move on the shorter time frame could be a move higher like the SPY is doing now, but that's where you can start to experience weakness. And we're starting to experience that right now. So it still means you're confirmed on the 30-minute chart to see price action. It just might not be that high. So will that be a great, great trade? pretty much it's a risk to reward thing. On the 30-minute, you have a reward of seeing that go like this, just barely, just a little bit. But on the 2-hour, what do we have a potential to do with a 2-hour pullback like this if that were to happen? Well, you could see a lot deeper price action, right? We could see, say this from this point right here. Okay, that 30-minute crosses up. Okay, you have a 0.7%, 0.8% move that could happen to the upside. But from this area, what do you have that 2-hour really wants to pull back? Hey, you could potentially go down 2.83% by Friday. So that just tells me the risk to reward is not there for the most part. Most likely I want to be patient, watch that 30-minute, see that 2-hour actually pull back and then curl back up. The 2-hour is more important. The higher the time frame, the more important the momentum, right? There's more momentum behind a daily chart because it has a lot of price action in it. There's more momentum behind a 2-hour than a 30-minute because it's a little bit bigger. It's 4 times stronger if you want to treat it that way. So that's what I'd be paying attention to. Thank you for bringing XLU to my attention. We haven't looked at this in a minute. Daily divergence is there. Okay, so this is something we pay attention to when XLU kind of makes the divergence, while the SPY could potentially make some kind of double top. So this is a time to pay attention. If both of these signals confirm, you might have a crash on your hands. So that's why we really have to pay attention if this starts to turn down. That's all you're getting at here. You're not necessarily saying, oh, this has to turn down, this has to turn down right now. This could still be a 2-hour pulls back and then curls right back up. And then this is the signal to pay attention to. But sometimes XLU gives you that hint. So that's great. In a crash scenario, XLU turns with a divergence and SPY turns with a divergence as well. That's something we paid attention to in the past. That helped us out over here. That kind of went away for a minute. Now we're seeing it pop up again. I'll definitely look into that a little bit further, George. That is a very, very good point to bring up. Tom Lee says, IWM to 300. Do you believe him? For some reason, that guy is right all of the time these days. It seems fishy to me. So I would say possibly. Now, what stocks are within IWM that everyone's paying attention to right now? Can you answer that? Answer me a question. What stocks are everyone paying attention to still today that are in the IWM? KGB, good answer, good answer. And what do we notice about those two stocks? Well, over the past, say, month or so, 40% of the stock is now owned by institutions. So a bunch of synthetic shares have been created, and now a big, big portion of those institutions actually own the stock. So what does that tell you about the stock? And what does that tell you that IWM could reach new highs? Well, a lot of small caps might catch some bids if they all have short seller problems, in my opinion. So the only reason that IWM would do something crazy and absolutely go way, way up here is if something crazy happened. And it sounds like Tom Lee's leaning towards something crazy happening, right? So we'll see. We'll see for the most part. The key thing with those is, if you're, the way to look at it is this: if you hold the stock, which is something that I've kind of said to myself at times, if I just hold the stock, what am I paying to hold the stock? If I'm using an amount of money that's not going to hurt me, what am I paying? Maybe some opportunity cost in another trade, but other than that, pretty much nothing. I lose nothing by holding the stock with an amount of money I'm willing to lose. Yes, Trevor, yes. So if that costs me nothing, how much does it cost to continue to borrow shares and short sell a stock? Well, right now it costs the maximum amount, right? It costs crazy rates to borrow shares right now for AMC and GME. So all you know is if you're just holding the stock, not doing an option play, then time is your friend. And that's how I treat it. They could already be doing that, by the way. We've still seen the dollar is at higher levels than what we were at previously, right? So if you go over to the dollar and you see that the market has continued to head higher, well, has the dollar cut out these lows from all the way back to, say, July of 2023? July of 2023, we were at an extreme low, right? The lowest point, I would say, what, in the last 14 months, 16, 18 months, something like that? Okay, now what about the SPY around that area? Okay, has the SPY dropped lower from that point in July? Or, I mean, has the SPY gone higher since then? Yes, it has, but has the dollar gone lower? No, it hasn't. So that tells you a lot of dollars are sitting still at higher levels. More people are still in cash at this moment than you think. Basically, all we got to do is hold the shares. And yeah, if you take options at the right time, I would say AMC is being barcoded all the time. And it seems GME is starting to. So options have not been paying if you're trying to do those every single week. But you can make little 50 bucks, 60, you know, little things here and there. Which is saying this run is artificial. Yeah, I think we'll see the signals when we know this thing is actually going to come down. Because what's going to end up happening, and this happens all the time, by the way. So this is why I'm leaning towards this. Is this right here? We're going to see maybe something like that, and then everyone will go, "Oh my gosh, it's the crash again!" And then it just curls back up into positive territory. And then here, everyone goes, "We just broke the high. We're off to the races," and then boom. That would be the look to really trick people. And that's just me thinking of the psychology. We don't know if that's how it's going to play out, but if it did, that psychology would make a lot of sense to fool a lot of people. Oh, dramatic move down, we're crashing. Oh, that turns back up. Oh, never mind, everything's good. We got the rate cut, we're happy, everything's dandy. And then boom, they just don't expect it. Something comes around the corner. I don't know what it would be. Right now, I'm still paying attention to jobs data, which we've been paying attention to. We still made those videos in the past saying CPI will not crash the market because it seems like every YouTuber, including myself, but CPI can crash the stock market, right? In a video. And then I go, well, it's more likely we have ranges. It's going to go to there, right? We talk sensibly about it. But for the most part, I try not to put CPI will crash the market because it just never does. It just never freaking does. It never does. What crashes the market? Unemployment, some kind of crisis that causes more unemployment. Right now, we're just seeing unemployment rise, and no crisis has shown its face exactly to the market. We haven't seen banking. We've seen banking struggles, but not banking disruption. We've seen housing market struggles, but we haven't seen a reduction in the inflation of those housing prices for some reason. Right. So that is more what I'm paying attention to, is reasons that people would have unemployment rise. Gold screaming down, dollar still screaming up now. So now you really want to see, look at that 4-hour divergence. If the daily scale can start to turn up here, you might have yourself a short-term top is what we would say for now. But this is the key zone, right? Key zone. So this makes total sense. Now we'll see if volatility can catch a bid, start to curl up on this daily chart. It's still holding at pretty high levels. I mean, you want to say not high levels, but it's still holding above the 200 and now above the 50 if that wick holds. So watch out. We could experience something bad. This is definitely still a time where you have to pay attention to a crash, but also pay attention if this is a lower high, because that could be a signal for this to actually head down over time and experience more of a squeeze. Trade with the charts, trade with the facts, trade with the data, and keep our emotions in check. Yeah, you try to keep things in check as much as possible. What I like to say is, once you get really good, you can have those emotions behind it and get those emotions more under control. It's more under control. That's the kind of thing that I like. One of my soccer coaches told me that, and I really appreciated that. I think I've told you guys that before. What really made me a great player, not a good player anymore. I was always a good player. What turned me into a great player was my coach sitting me down and going, "You're a very emotional player." I was. If someone stole a ball from me, I was kicking their ass. That's just how I work. So, and he just said, but sometimes when you let your emotions go to haywire, you do things that are risky for the team. You get yourself out of place. You do this. So he goes, instead of being emotional and getting angry and just using that, I want you to take a second and just think. Think for a second. How could I use this emotional energy to do something good, to actually win the game, to do something that can actually hurt the other team? And I go, that, how can you score a goal? How can you do all these things? So that's kind of how I've treated emotions with the market. Is at times I will look at this, I will see a great signal, I will see a big reversal signal, and I go, this is everything I've been paying attention to. I'm like, the market's rigged, I'm angry about it, all these things. And I just go, let me pull the trigger at the right time. Let me make sure to use that energy to be diligent and look at the signals and do a longer out expiration, do all the work that I need to do, manage the trade, all those things. That's really helped me out. Thank you, Sid. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, it's just a little thing that I really enjoyed about I guess life was that little moment, and I've thought about it every single thing I go into. I kind of think about that. You're welcome, Juana. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for the happy birthday wish. So someone's saying gold screaming down. So let's go look at that. That's a 1% drop now, and you see the 30-minute really curling down here, giving you that last moment to be like, okay, yeah, this is really curling down, and boom, we head to the downside. So you want to pay attention here, still the daily scale turning down. Daily scale turning down. And the key thing about this is, look at this. You have like a flatness up here. You have a downward move on the RSI. So this is divergence here, and that can be bad for GLD. We already kind of went over the futures, the 4-hour divergence. Oil is not coordinating with the market, is going down like hell. Is 72 a barrel? Oh, jeez. Now, one thing to notice here is look at the price action right now. Look at the trend lines. You're hitting this point again. This could start to scale up over time with like a little 2 or a little 4-hour divergence or something like that, right? Now, you don't necessarily have that there. So that's not there, but on the daily scale, you do have it, I believe. So daily scale, you got all these divergences. You have divergence across the way. This divergence kind of violated on the MACD, but you have it in the near price action. So watch out if gold sees a huge move to the upside. Gold, oil. Why would oil see a big move? Would oil see a big move related to some kind of war news? Because this would be random, as they say, oh, we're going to maybe cut rates. Maybe cut rates, and then oil goes ballistic. I don't know if that makes sense 100%, right, Mark? If this starts to fall below there, then that's a bad thing. Now, if you look at the near term, though, you got this little 2-hour divergence going on as well for that bounce. That can curl up 4 hours. That's happening. Now you got to see if that 4 hours is going to create a divergence or if the daily scale is just going to turn up. Wow. Okay, interesting. One thing to pay attention to as well, I know you bring up nail sometimes. HGX, this guy can be a little bit beneficial. If we, a lot of the time, or at least some of the time, you'll see the housing market give you a hint. And so if this starts to unconfirm and go the other way, if we start to kind of curl down on these 2 hours and stuff, you see we're closer to negative territory here. So just pay attention. If this stops short at any time. I like your energy and tone. I'm coming from Jackie. Let's go. Hey, Diego. Look, what's up? Tell Jackie I say hey if you're in there. I like me some Jackie. I need to pop over to his stream this week. I haven't watched him in a couple weeks. I need to pop over there. I like when he does some technical analysis. Actually, I like when he talks about like what does he like to do? He likes to talk about the stock, and sometimes he'll talk about GME in a way that's like, oh, you expected something to happen. He's like kind of like, well, look at the signals, look at this, look at this. He goes, you shouldn't expect anything to happen. You should just pay attention to the signals a little bit and make them like kind of make you feel more comfortable. I thought that was kind of interesting. So I enjoy him. At the end of the day, I think he's probably a good dude. So that's good enough for me. TMF is down and the US bond yields are up. Yeah, the bond yields are going up here, and the key thing with this was the daily scale turning up. Okay, so the daily scale turned up, turned right back down, and turned up again. So now you do have some divergence points across here too, and why are those yields going to go up dramatically? I do not know, but you have the dollar going up, yields going up, TLT looking like it wants to fall off, and oil looking like it needs a big thing forward. So maybe Mark can help me with my thinking with oil, but my assessment would be, what the heck is going to happen to cause yields to go up and oil to go up, besides something maybe that promotes inflation in some way? I can only think of war, but I don't know if necessarily yields go up during wartime. I'd probably have to go back and back test, go look. Yeah, I'll have to back test and go look probably. Any cut from Saudis would shoot oil up. Okay, so I might need to research that just a little bit more. PCC still dropping just a little bit here, down towards 0.73. SPY starting to go up, 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 but starting to really lose that steam. So this is the behavior you'll start to see, and now you're seeing that weakness come in. You're starting to see more red bars. Notice this, green, 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 little blip, green, green, little blip, little blip. Now we're seeing a lot more red in this price action, which tells you the momentum is struggling here. But it also tells you one thing. The momentum is struggling, a big move is coming, but that can still be distributed in either way. All right? So what I want to see here is most likely, more probable move as we're at a weekly expected move is that move is down for a 2-hour bigger pullback. I just want to be aware of that. All right. As far as it goes with something like NVIDIA is great to pay attention to. This is what we use to find the short squeeze. And look at that. This is the moment where you're coming up to this level. You got a MACD that's really close to the center line. If that rolls over, that can get ugly pretty quick. All right. So we'll pay attention to that. What do I think? Hey, maybe drop down into the zone and we'll see what happens. Shorting on the double top. Yeah, I get you. FFIE's been struggling a lot. This one has really broken down. Ooh, starting to turn back around. Great little 30-minute divergence here, but the tapering, it's just holding the same here, so nothing really there. The 2-hour, you see we don't really have divergence there, just a curl up. So what I'd really be paying attention to here is that daily crossing up. You see that down here. Anytime a daily crosses up with stocks like these, stocks with a short seller problem, anything like that, anytime the daily turns up, that's when I'd be paying attention for upside. Keep it simple, right? That's what we're looking for from AMC, right? That's what we're looking for from AMC. We're looking for that daily curl up. And look at this, it's super, super close. But every time it gets close to doing something, something else happens. Now, you do have a good sign here, which is one thing. You know, everyone talking about the being above the 200. As this keeps going deeper, we can use that as support to head higher. If you can retake these, that's great. But right now, the entire bar is above the 200. I think if that remains, that would be a great sign. But I think all you need is like that, and you got this thing to cross up. All you need is some kind of break to like 515. And you got to cross up, and if that can hold, that would be a good sign for positivity. This is why I said, I was like, if I was someone who was, say, treating this, like if I was just a gambler, and I was like, okay, this would be the scenario of seeing like, at this point, this is the scenario of seeing like 20 blacks in a row. So what would you be betting for the next 5 rolls? I'd probably be looking for a red day, or I'd probably be looking for a red, a time to bet on red. And boom, maybe that happens. But you still have to know every single roll is mutually exclusive. Every single day in the stock market is mutually exclusive. You can just see if that momentum turns up. Then you have a little bit more edge towards the upside, right? That's when you have a little bit of an edge against the house. So at this moment, though, this probably would be, at least this in here would probably be at least like 10 blacks in a row. And so what are you going to do for the next 5 if you look at it from that perspective? Obviously, we don't promote gambling. I'm just using it as kind of a metaphor. Deflation's all over the world right now. Well, you know that things are going to deflate if unemployment rises, because who the hell buys products? The average person, right? So as the middle class starts to die and die and die, that's why I don't get why all these lawyers that become politicians, I don't get why they put things in that are bad for the middle class when the middle classes are the ones who really promote the economies, promote the products, promote this, promote consumption. And so it really doesn't make sense to me why government treats the middle class like ass. It just doesn't make sense to me. SPY starting to see that turn down and dollar continuing to go up at this moment. VIX actually turning positive now. So here we go. This might be our more 2-hour pullback. We'll see. We have a lot of stuff still going on. We have Jerome Powell talking on Friday as well. So Ukraine, Moscow targeted with largest drone attack of war with Ukraine. Russia official see, that's what I'm saying too, and maybe Mark can attest to this. Mark, with that type of thing, something between Ukraine and Russia, some kind of thing between everything that's going on with Israel and so on, would all of that cause some kind of reaction from oil? I believe that would be correlated in some way. Good morning, Maria. More cynical viewpoint there. Ooh, Dow gave it up. Is that dropping the market? Home sales rose for the first time in 5 months. Well, then I talked about this too, and why that huge reduction in rates can cause more inflation, and why I think the Fed is in a tough spot, and why I said they can't cut by 50 basis points. I'm like, they maybe can cut by 25 basis points. Maybe. But I was like, 50 would mean something is breaking. So the reason I said that was I just listened to my brother. My brother's an MLO, and he said there's a bunch of buyers on the side. Right now, they're dealing with two things. If you're a buyer of a home, you're dealing with two things. You're dealing with a terrible price, and you're dealing with a terrible rate. So if you have months and months and months of trying to find a home, trying to get a better rate, and then you're like, I'm going to wait, I'm going to wait, I'm going to wait. Okay, price has not come down, but the rate has come down significantly. What's that going to cause? It's going to cause people to buy those homes at those really high prices because they at least got a better rate. It will at least cause a lot of them to do that. A lot of them will lock in at that rate and then buy that home at that price, which just tells me they're still buying at the high of the price, meaning the demand is going to go up for a short period of time. And that's probably why you're going to see more inflation a little bit over the next few months in the housing market, unless we experience a collapse. So that's kind of how I see it. So weirdly enough, that would hint to me that the market could experience more inflation as well if people keep the housing market going higher. The housing market's a great indicator for what's going on. That's why I always look back at the housing sector, right? Has that fully come back? No, it hasn't. So we'll pay attention to it, but yeah. Yeah, but the point of that is you don't have to buy down the rate as much anymore. So even if you wanted, say, I think there was a point where you could get a 7.5 rate. Even if you wanted to buy that down, buy some points, right? You buy the points to get that rate down. Well, now you get a period of time where you could get a 5% rate all of a sudden. Okay, if you can get a 5% rate all of a sudden and you can buy that down if they still allow like a 0.5 buy down or something like that, now you're looking at a pretty good rate. So yeah, Florida and Texas are in trouble, man. Anywhere that, especially Florida, I would say anywhere that has a lot of travel, like Orlando, maybe even Miami, a lot of things that depend on travel for, the average worker, those are going to experience some turmoil, and those people will most likely take back on the job market as well. So those people might get fired in those cities, and that is a major, major thing. You're looking at transportation and stuff like that. If they're not going out, a lot of people canceling some vacations at this point, that can be troublesome for those cities. And those are usually the first early signs when you see that in those cities. Yeah, I'm eating popcorn with my wife waiting. Yeah, if you're sitting on the sidelines and you're someone who's an investor, you can go eat up homes very cheap if some kind of big thing hit those cities. Foreclosures are about to hit. How many days is the foreclosure supposed to hit? How many days is it? I don't remember. I took all those courses because I almost became an MLO, but I was like, I feel like I would get bored with it. And because inflation was high and the rates were high, I was like, I don't want to struggle for years to create a book of business. IWM, this is a big signal, guys. Pay attention to IWM. Really, if this shows weakness here, you can experience some more of a 2-hour pullback here. You do have that 2-hour that crossed up for a brief moment. Now it's still up high, but I'm a little worried about IWM for right now. We'll see if that changes. The SPY low, if you're going to hit a low for the day, right, you really want to pay attention to this line right here, this 556.30. This is what's priced in by the options market. So something interesting here, if we're not going to go up to that, we might gravitate down towards this. We didn't touch a daily expected move yesterday, so we could see that more so today. And what we'll notice is if we're going to fake people out to the upside, wouldn't we want to fake people out to the downside too, or see something crazy? That's where we're kind of paying attention. What do you think of those 800K illegal immigrant work authorization cards that were used to skew our job numbers? I think that in any way possible that someone, in order to get money, in order to get votes, in order to get funding, they are going to lie. It's one of the biggest things in actually philosophy is you can take lying all the way down to, do I even exist? The only way that I know I exist is because I'm in my own head. But if I'm talking to another person, all you have to say is, are you a robot? They say no, and you go, they could be lying. That's it. You can't even tell if someone's conscious or not fully. You could be like, you could be surrounded by, we could be in a matrix right now and not even realize it. Like once you get into philosophy, it's very cool. But for the most part, I think people will always lie to benefit themselves at certain levels. And it's usually like, and the funny part about liars, like the amount that people lie is it's pretty much a bell curve. And a lot of the people that are in the middle, probably like us, are right here. We lie this amount of time, just kind of average amount. But on this side of the spectrum, they lie even more. And on this side of the spectrum, you lie even more. So the super, super poor might lie more, and the super, super rich might lie more. But the people in the middle are usually kind of base in that. I mean, you don't want to get in the mindset of like, hey, unless I have a weekly expected move, I can't say if something crazy is happening in a stock. So something like cost, you would just say if the daily turns up, that would be a good sign for prolonged momentum to sustain itself on a daily scale. So that would mean the daily side of things. It means you could see at the end of a month, you're most likely going to be higher than the point where that MACD crossed, or I think it's about 2 to 3 weeks. You think Jackson Hole will set up another rally? It really depends on Jerome Powell talking. I mean, it all depends on that. Everyone's going to hang on every single word. IWM, got to keep an eye on that. What are the Qs? Trying to go negative. The dollar still going up, but starting to struggle right here. We'll see if we can make some structure. Yes, and that's my big thing, Maria. And people even around me, some friends I have, think that I'm like racist for saying that I don't like illegal immigrants coming in because it causes legal immigrants to have to take more time to get in. That's the only reason that people can say that to me, and I understand why they have that sentiment, but at the same time, I just don't think they're thinking it through fully. You just don't understand illegal immigration is bad because it makes the timeline for people who are doing things the right way extend. And that's not a good thing because those are people who are respecting our country, respecting everything about us, and really doing things in the right way. That's all. But everyone has their opinion. I get it. Sorry if my phone buzzes a bunch. I'm probably getting a bunch of happy birthdays, seems like. ZM had a nice pop. Yeah, I have. You don't understand. Like, too, my abuela, my wife's mom came here legally. It took a lot of work. And then she has to go and watch people ruin where she used to live because they were up towards New York. She has to see those things, and it really, really makes her upset. And so when you understand it from that standpoint, it's just like when you actually have people close to you who are a legal immigrant, you can see things a little bit differently. Also, we have no idea what sort of people are getting in. We don't even know the exact number. Wow, what a move from Zoom, though. 30-minute cross-up, positive territory. That's an easy one. That is an easy one. 2 hour, let's see if we had any signals here. Rejection divergence, that's fantastic. You want to clean that up. You ever see like something that's rejecting real quick? Just flip over to an hourly. See if that's curling up on an hourly. Curled up on an hourly, boom. Starts to curl up over time, goes positive. Fantastic signal down here at the lows. You even have this low over here, which might be a daily divergence. Let's see, daily divergence was there. So daily divergence, now that was before the earnings. This could be a get out of jail free card, or take some profit, play with house money with the rest of it. And then you go, okay, this crossed up here. I'm going to take something. Boom, heads to the upside. Great freaking move. Palantir, very interesting stuff from Palantir, trying to go up towards that level, that trend line. It really matters between those highs because you're kind of in like a channel here. I don't have the bottom side of that channel, but for the most part, you can see we're pretty much in some kind of channel. I probably could even clone this bad boy and it might fit. Let's see if that fits because I think you're in a pretty good channel here. Yeah, let's put it with that low. So you see how you're pretty much in a channel of some sort. And so what you want to look at is the top of that channel, okay? You want to look for not just the touch of the top of the channel. I think a lot of people run into these problems and say, it touches the top of the channel, therefore it has to break down. That's not right. You know, you can break through channels all the time. What you want to look for are reversal signals up towards that top of the channel. So are you seeing a 30-minute divergence at the top of the channel? Yes, you are. Are you seeing a 2-hour divergence at the top of the channel? Yes, you're seeing some little divergence in the near price action, okay? So this is more what you want to pay attention to. Now, this 2-hour is still building up, and maybe that needs to see a bigger pullback, maybe down towards 29.25, but you would say this 30-minute rolling over is what I'm paying attention to. That's my next point of divergence across the top here. So we have all that, and it's very close to the center line. So this is when you want to be paying attention to Palantir rolling over. It just doesn't mean it has to crash down. It just means the 2-hour might need to pull back a little further. Gold really starting to suffer now, which means that dollar is probably popping, huh? There you go, breaking out. This week sucks. It's a very tricky week. That's why it's like, if I didn't catch the short squeeze and then sit on my hands, I'd probably have a different vibe about me. But thankfully, caught the short squeeze, had some great trades. Then I can sit on my hands and just watch whatever happens next while building a small position to the short side at this moment. Not trying to say everything's going to crash, just like, hey, I had a hedge. I'm going to turn that into a position at this point and see what happens. And volatility is starting to scale up on this 30-minute. So another high here. What we want to pay attention to with volatility is, does it make that 30-minute divergence? That can really help us out. So UVXY, yeah, I'm building that position in UVXY. All I'm doing with UVXY is saying, hey, a big move can happen. So if we see a sudden drop, that can benefit me. I'm not trying to make a shitload of money out of it or anything. I'm just going, hey, if that hits something like 30, then I'll make a good amount of money. That's about it. Nothing too big, though. I don't want to, like I said before, I'm mostly sitting on my hands because I'm like, why would I make a fat, like absolutely fantastic short squeeze play and then try to give it all up the next day with some kind of trade, some kind of little trade that I think could have a reversal in it. Short squeezes are hard to short. So I'm going to build that position so it's an actual position now, but I'm not going to add further to it. Even with this upside that we saw this morning, I did not add to it in any way. I was so expecting a pullback last week, and that would have made sense too. These areas in here would make sense for the structure. Now you're just asking for what? Well, we got excited. We never built the structure. Why? Here we didn't build it. Here we didn't build it. Here we didn't build it. So that tells you what? Hey, we could experience some kind of sharper pullback to go back into some liquidity before we actually head up. That's kind of what I'm paying attention to, and I think the 30-minute is about to send you in that little play. And then next week, maybe we see this get outside of the weekly chart with our, or the weekly ranges with the 30-minute. This would be a nice signal here. So that's what I'm going to pay attention to next week. Notice I'm always thinking a few days in advance. Always be thinking just a little bit in advance, just a little bit. You don't have to, you know, on a 30-minute, you just want to go a little bit in advance. On a 2-hour, just a little bit. Now on the daily, you have to start to think like, okay, what could happen over the next few weeks? But what I like to do is see how the 30 minutes developing, what does the 2-hour have going on, so on and so forth. So right now, 30-minute divergences, weakness and momentum, potential for a 2-hour pullback. If that curls back up, then I can see, what if I have in this type of move, if we do base out after a pullback, what if I see something like this? And I get a 30-minute divergence, I have a 2-hour divergence, I have a daily divergence all across it. Well, maybe someone who took the course can tell you exactly what that is. Course is still 90% off, guys. $100 for that bad boy. If you want to get me a birthday present, you know, get something for yourself as well, and that could be a birthday present for me as well. You know, take that course, learn a little bit, come back, show me a stock that you're looking at. Let me see how it's going. Let me see how I see it. Get a second opinion on it, and try to learn while taking the course. It'll make the videos much more clear, I think. Now, Ripple, for the most part, my brother was huge onto Ripple. So for Ripple here, which I think this is maybe the right price action. First of all, it's a stock that trades all the time. It's a crypto that trades all the time. Crypto trades all the time. So you have to blow up the time frames a little bit, right? Daily, 4-hour, 2 hours, what I like to pay attention to. Those are good forms of momentum. So what we want to see here is, does the daily roll down? That would be a bad sign, right? But as we look into, say, a 4-hour, we notice what? We notice there is some potential structure to head higher, and it's really building liquidity. So if it starts to break above 0.65, we can see some good upside there, right? You can see some good upside. So right now the 4-hour is building up. If that just flashes positive with a strong bar like this, you can see that daily scale really start to turn up, right? We can see the daily scale really start to turn up as that's already happened above the 200, above the 50, above all your moving averages. It looks like positivity is the most likely option for the daily chart. So you want to see if that 4-hour is able to turn up, or a 2-hour, right? Or even a 2-hour curl up can be a good thing. And then you say, okay, I'm going to manage that trade in case that 2-hour turns back down. But crypto, that's a whole different side of things. You can still use a lot of the methods that we use in the courses, especially with like swing trading and things like that. It's a little harder to swing trade, so you got to manage the trade a little closer. But if you can really understand like movement of assets, then you'll get it. This hasn't turned down yet. Hasn't turned down yet. This could be a tiny, tiny cup and handle. We'll see. Market experienced a 30-minute pullback. Good area for a pullback to create the structure to head higher. Let's look at futures for a second. These levels aren't correct, but I love that we react off it a bunch. 2-hour for the futures is saying, hey, I got a ton of divergence. You really look at this, look how close that is. 2-hour is pretty big here. So watch out if we actually experience that going negative, because that could mean a bigger pullback is coming. What are we looking at? Tesla down 1.16. 2-hour has curled down. 30 minutes starting to curl down too. SPY, more of a pullback. I think you're in for more of a pullback. It's just, is this all just going to build up here and then swing higher and then drop off? I think they want to really fake people out, get a ton of calls in. We've seen a lot of call side act. Notice that if I draw a box down here like this, and then I draw a box up here like this, which side have we been in more? Calls, calls, calls. So I'd watch for options expiration on Friday, and then maybe next week we actually do experience that big pullback. Because now you have a bunch of people still going to calls. Maybe they want to convince more people to go to calls. That is potential there. And then they start to actually send the market lower. SPY still positive, dollar still positive right now. So you do have potential to do that. But technically, even if this bar confirmed in 1 minute, technically you've already turned down, and the most likely option is more of a pullback. Amazon looking pretty dippy. I thought you were saying dippy like dippy. I was like, hell yeah. Yeah, Amazon has the 30-minute divergence behind it as well, telling you a 2-hour pullback is likely, and you're finally seeing that blip. So watch out for 174.51. SPY to 570 next week. Maybe end of next week is what I would see there. More of a dip down, and then maybe on Wednesday, Thursday, we start to curl that thing back up, and then we get up towards that 570, 573, something in there. We'll get new monthly ranges as well. So it'd be nice too for this to dip down like this, because then we might get a monthly range up by 570, and then you can go, okay, do I see a 2-hour divergence above the monthly expected moves? That would be something to pay attention to. No, it's hard to pick what's going to happen, but do you feel MSTR will stay in the 135 to 140 for tomorrow? Let's go check. It just depends. Like, do you mean by close tomorrow? Because are you looking for when Jerome Powell is talking? We can see volatility tomorrow. I'm guessing implied volatility will head up a little bit. And for the most part, you're still kind of flagging here, aren't you? So watch for that 2-hour to curl over. If that curls over and you break through this, that can be bad. And then you want to look at the daily. So will it remain there? Well, you have the daily saying something different. So 2-hour curls over, bad. Daily curls up. If you can get a positive bar here, maybe the better way to look at it is to say this, right? Is to say there's pretty much a range here, right? If we take kind of the low of this, all right, and we take the high of this, let's say, actually, technically you're right here. right in here. All right, so that would be kind of my range. So I want to look for breakouts above or below that. And right now, the daily scale, if that could break out to the upside, daily momentum would be with you. You most likely would not remain in that range, right? If that 2 hour curls down, that can take a little bit of time to get down to here. So you could end up down towards 130. So it can break out of that 135 range here. So by tomorrow, kind of tough. A stock can do anything at any time. So it's hard to predict. But for the most part, you would say if the 2 hour rolls down, bad things can happen. And since this has built a bunch of liquidity, if that really starts to gain some steam, you might see a break of these lows. Just means be a little cautious. That's the best advice there, I guess. Nvidia heading to 150 next week. I mean, if this 30-minute or if this 2 hour can curl down, you can really reload here. That might be a possibility in a couple weeks or after earnings, right? You break down till earnings, you start to bounce back up, and then boom, earnings hits. You can see that big move. So we'll pay attention. We'll also get updated monthly ranges for Nvidia before the earnings, which will be really helpful. Maybe that's up towards 150. You never know. What if the range is all the way up here and you see this dip down and curl up, and then boom, earnings takes you up towards 150. That would be a great, great trade. So that's something I'm looking at. I'm trying. I tried for you, Robert. I definitely tried for you there. Big balls today. Yeah, just manage the trade, guys. Managing the trade, and you should feel more comfortable. This is still overall sideways movement from the 2 hour. So if we're able to get more towards the center line of the RSI, right, more towards the center line, see this keep going sideways, get more towards the center line, and then curl up, you have to pay attention to it. That could just be consolidation to head up, right? I think you're more likely to see something like that, though. That's what I think is more likely. Doesn't mean it has to happen. But I respect it, Washed. I respect it. As far as Sava goes, let's take a peek over what's happening with that. 2 hour looking like it really wants to cross over. And look at that. When I see that, I go, is there a 30-minute divergence there? Just immediately I go, that 30-minute divergence could be there. Ooh, 30-minute divergence across the way. Okay, so if this starts to go negative, then you want to see, is that 2 hour crossing over? What does that mean? Well, you're looking for the 2 hour to cross over and then hold up at this level, right? Hold up at some point throughout this. Hold up at some point throughout this. Because right now you're looking like this is an important level. We got a little excited. Maybe we back off and this is all some kind of cup and handle situation or some kind of consolidation. That's how I would look into it. Jackie loves his cup and handles, by the way. See if he likes Sava in that look. Because it doesn't look, it looks pretty like much like a cup and handle. Yo, what up, Banana Sam? How you doing? It is way overbought. Holding through its earnings is always 50-50. Yeah, it's always 50-50 with any stock. But you want to see NVIDIA if they really want the market to head higher. That's what we have to figure out. Do they want to break down the market or do they want to bust up the market and trick people again? And that's where you can pay attention to the SPY and the Qs. Do they have divergences? What if the SPY and the Qs have a 30-minute divergence and a 2 hour down by the center line while we're about to get NVIDIA earnings? That would be a massive, massive thing to pay attention to, because if that means the momentum is slowed. If NVIDIA sees good earnings, then they could shoot the market higher, and that was the goal. Oh my gosh, my mom made mama, aka my wife made nice coffee this morning. We have our espresso machine. She broke it out this morning, and gosh, it's making me have to pee a lot. I chugged that coffee this morning. It was so good. God, I've gotten like 10 texts. I must have friends today. Remember we said, all I want AMC to do for my birthday is go to like $20, you know? I don't think it's too late. I don't think it's too late. And thank you, Leo. Thank you, Juan Leo. Wow, gosh, I wish I could say your name. Try to spell out how to say your name. I want to thank you properly, but thank you so much. Really appreciate it. $9.99. Thank you so much. Let's celebrate their third super on the live stream. Thank you. Koss is doing well. Yeah, Koss is doing well, and mainly just seeing if that positivity can continue to curl up the daily chart. The daily chart's going to be important. It curled up. You're seeing that prolonged positivity after a 30-minute pullback. That's all fantastic. Now, you want to break through this right here. You don't want to create a diversion. So you need a big move. You've cupped, you've handled. All right, let's go. Zuan Liu. Zuan Liu. I think I got it. When's your birthday? It's today, babe. It's today. Zwan. So X is like a Z almost. Okay, cool. I'm learning a lot. I used to take I was trying to learn Japanese for a long time. So I know how to say, like, obviously hi, but I know how to say, like, nice to meet you, my name is Lucas. AAP took a nice trade. Let's go check it out. Konnichiwa. Oh God, with the earnings, you actually benefited. Yeah, hajime mashite. Hajime mashite. Lucas desu. Many more wonderful years. Thank you so much, Rosa. Thank you. Oh my gosh, Azadine. So you're feeling good this morning. That was risky as hell. Yo, I'm not gonna lie. That was a risky one right there. Congratulations, but dear God, do not go to a casino for a long time, please. Holy crap. Holy crap, that's a crazy one. Thank you so much, Zwan Liu, for the $9.99. Really appreciate that. Thank you. And thank you for the happy birthday wishes, guys. AAP, though, that is a crazy one. I can't do any technicals with it, but congratulations. You rolled the friggin' dice with that one, man. Let's see here. DJT, real quick. So DJT, still paying attention if that daily scale is able to roll up. The daily scale is going to be the most important thing. It's rolling up right now, but just notice this. As that is rolling up, pay attention. Think to yourself, what could happen by end of day? Well, by end of day, we could roll down on this 30-minute. Do we really have reversal signals? No. So watch out if that 30-minute rolls down. As of right now, if this would post a little bit up more, I would say, by the end of the day, make sure that is a positive bar and crossing up on that MACD. That's what I really like. You know, you can always risk it with a negative bar, but you got to make sure you're managing the trade. Right now, it looks like 30-minute pullback could be the option, right? We just do something like this, boom. We do something all the way down like this, boom. Just means the timing might be off if this 30-minute rolls down. I want to make sure that's rolling back up. Wolf as well. We took a peek at this for a little bit. And we just noticed the tapering is really good. The divergence is really good. It's all a very, very cool thing. Earnings came out. Looks like it's negative for now. See if that 30-minute can roll back up. That's the shorter time frames. As we go into the daily, you'll notice this thing is curled up. Okay, so anytime that 30-minute curls up, this daily momentum can take place. And maybe we end up going to the upside. So that's what I would pay attention to. You're rolled up on the MACD. You're still far away from the center line. So you just got to say this will take a lot of work to recover. And therefore, I need to pay attention anytime that rolls down. As far as Apple goes, still trying to hold above this area. Okay, but look at this, look. All right, just check this out. If the daily were to roll over here and get below these moving averages, wouldn't you say a test of the 200 is likely? A double bottom maybe down here is likely. This might be a negative move. Maybe you cut below that 200, right? That could be very bad. So pay attention to that. For now, 30-minute. Rolling back up at this moment, so we have to pay attention to it for a brief moment, see if that's able to turn back down. As of right now, you're holding above that 225.84 level, which is good. 2 hours still pulling, so see if that's going to move sideways, then pop up, or move down and then pop up, because you do have a left head potentially going to make that right shoulder at this point. As soon as I did the Sava thing, it started to turn out. Let's go check it out. Yeah, so for Sava as well, still looking at the 30-minute. Always, whenever the 30-minute curls up, good things can happen. If you see that 30-minute roll into negative territory, that's where more bad things can happen. You do have some cup and handling going on, so positivity could be there. Maybe I need to look at a daily scale. I mean, positivity is the most likely option in a lot of these charts. You just want to pay attention to the actual reversal and how it would take place. Hopefully that's a good thing for you though, Christopher. I'll keep talking badly about it. I'll keep talking about reversals so it goes up for you. TMF hit the trend line, holding a pullback before Jackson Hole. And just taking a peek, still seeing how people are positioned, still to the call side. Dollar still elevated, not up at the high. Right, coming down a little bit. But PCC still high, dollar still up while the market is green. So we can pay attention to it for a moment. Plus 1.5 to negative 1.5. That's almost like a 10% move for volatility, isn't it? As far as PCC goes, the main thing you want to be seeing here is just using, are you below 0.8? That means calls are most of what people have right now. And then are you above 0.95 or above 1? If you're above 1, that means a lot of people have puts, right? Notice this 1.41, we pay attention to times where we get reactions to there. Boom, we get reactions to there. That's where you start to think, ooh, people are getting really leverage for downside. So let's see if there's some kind of bottom forming. Up in this area now, you want to see if some kind of maybe short-term top is forming because people have been to the call side for a while. Notice we haven't been up here in a little bit. So to the call side, we need to make sure that we're not going to see some kind of reaction that gets to there, get people fearful again, and then it starts to tear back down. Don't know what to play today. Hey, sometimes being patient is the option, waiting for the play. Let the play come to you. Look at this guy. Let's see, he seems to be squeezing. Ooh, that seems to be squeezing. Daily did turn up by positive territory right here, saying, hey, I got a chance. Do you see how this matters? This matters for like 2 to 3 weeks. Do you see how this matters? Just a daily curl up by positive territory. That can give you a hint of when something potentially crazy could happen. It's close to the center line, curls up, something crazy ends up happening. That's kind of how I look into it. Curls up above the center line, what happens? Moves sideways, but then something crazy ends up happening. Okay, that's why I pay attention to those type of things. Curls up by the center line right here, something crazy ends up happening. It could take a whole month to play out, but you notice it ended up happening, so great stuff. Is Tesla giving up? It kind of looks like it is, down 1.4 now, so we are seeing this dip down. That 2-hour has crossed, saying pullback's the most likely scenario here for Tesla still. I wouldn't mind a reaction like this to gain some buyers. You kind of go boop, 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 retest, boop. Oh, that'd be a good look. Left head, right shoulder after building liquidity here. I think that would be cool. We'll see. Still going to go negative, though, for Tesla. Tesla didn't see the dramatic upside to get you really, really high up. Yeah, and as you get to this weekly expected move, it makes more sense to go to that short side. You just want to make sure you're seeing some reversal signals, confirming, seeing this flip back to negative here right now. That is a divergence point. It's pretty significant, so it might be a moment to pay attention. It's not outside of the weekly move like I like to see a lot of the time, but it's close, so you can pay attention to the risk to reward here. You still always have the potential to just go, what, for a moment, fake people out, get more calls in, and then it drops off. But most likely, you're going to see fake outs throughout the day, and then you're just... The way they could hurt options the most is get everyone in the call side, gap the market down. That can hurt you a lot. I believe after this pullback, we could see it. Right, after, if we're gonna curl over right now, I think now would be a great time to still get that pull back down to the center line, and then we see that move up. That's when you want to more pay attention for upside. But yeah, I think we could see more of a rotation to small caps. I mean, if the yields are gonna come down, those yields are gonna get cut. That's very good for small caps. GME, I haven't looked at that in a second. Looks like it's up 0.44. Curl up on the 2-hour, that's what we're still looking for. AMC, same thing, curl up on the 2-hour. You're starting to do it, but notice, once again, you just run into that brick wall every time. Google pulling down. Let's see about that real quick. Remember, Google crossing down as of right now on the 2 hour, so 2 hour pullback is likely. Now you are getting a test and that 30-minute has curled. Ooh, didn't curl up. So failing to curl up is kind of a big deal. Kind of a big deal because you do have a 2 hour that's still within range to go negative, not as positive as the other ones. So that means I got to be a little bit careful with it. What does that mean overall? Well, even if I dip down, I still have to pay attention to any time that that rotates back up, but I have to treat this like this could get ugly. Peloton? Oh God. Is that Peloton? Yeah, it's Peloton. Peloton went nutty again with the earnings. You had, the good part about this is I look at this, I bet you there's daily divergence. Oh, there's not daily divergence. I mean, technically there is with the extreme low, but that's very extended over. Maybe it's there on the weekly. You might see some weird curvature, but weekly divergence is there at this moment saying, hey, upside potential, curls back down on the daily, curls back up. Hey, good move there, but not the best signals for a turnaround. Crosses up on the daily, close enough to positive territory, but earnings, guys, earnings is always 50-50. So, I mean, I never say that I miss out on something because of earnings. If it's earnings, then I'm mitigating my risk. And we have another earnings with snow starting to fall over here. And you notice that had divergence, right? This one didn't play out. So that's a big note there. Earnings is a 50-50 flip. Because look at that. We saw this signal in a few earnings, and they all played out to the upside. This one did not. So maybe it's going to go make another point right there. Who knows? Rivian. Rivian curling down. Still waiting for that daily to curl up, take back these moving averages. That's pretty much all I'm paying attention to. It's still within range to go positive, right? Still within range. We noticed that the wedging didn't really play out, confirmed to the downside. Now we see this. Does it have a good potential to turn around that daily scale? Well, if that 2 hour rotates up, wouldn't you say that's divergence down here? Wouldn't you say that's divergence down here? So I'd be paying attention if that 2 hour can just go boop like that, and then bam, you could see some upside. And then if the daily curls up, you can feel pretty comfortable with a swing trade. That's just a way to get in a little bit earlier. PayPal's moving. Okay. PayPal is moving and moving. It is still creating divergence on the daily scale. Not the best sign, or divergence on the 2 hour scale. Not the best sign. And right now, could you turn over that 2 hour? Well, you're going to form that divergence maybe right now for the 30-minute to show you that weakness. So you might get a little hint here. If that 2 hour is going to experience a pullback, what would that mean if the 2 hour can cross over? It's still very positive, but you could get a daily pullback in this area. That's kind of what it tells me. It says, you know, I might need to reconnect with the moving average before I actually head higher. I think that would be a good look for PayPal. Looks like it might be running out of steam soon. Because that 2 hour divergence is still way up here. So you could just see a 2 hour pullback and that continues, right? Maybe you get a 2 hour triple divergence, okay? So 2 hour curls down, curls up, good things. 2 hour curls down too far, you get the daily to curl down, you might dig down a little deeper. Palantir, MU. We haven't looked at MU yet. We've looked at Palantir. It's just hitting a trend line with 30-minute divergences all across. I'll go look at Palantir again in a moment. It's still just stuck in a range here, trying to build that liquidity, so you know a big move is probably coming soon. Fake out to the upside. Right now, you're green, so upside is still the most potential move. If that curls down, though, look how close you are to the center line. This is like a 50-50 here, pretty much. Oh God, Waka Flocka Flame, holy crap. Let's just take a peek at Palantir again, just to show it again. You see the divergence point, see this, how it's close to the center line? It doesn't mean it has to crash down. It just means there's about to be some energy distributed in one direction, and this has gone up for a while. You get a lot of rounding out and weakness here. So I'd be aware if this crosses down, that could get ugly pretty quick. That's how it works. Right? That's how it works with momentum. And then if it turns right back up, okay, awesome. So if you see some kind of drop and then that just turns right back up, okay, as long as it's going positive, everything is fine for the stock, but we're running into that top of the channel. Open door, I'm guessing that's what this is. Yeah, I actually liked Open Door way in the past. What do you see at the lows? 30-minute divergences, fan-freaking-tastic. I love to see that. Look at the triple divergence on the 30-minute, right by the center line. Fantastic play right here. That can turn up a 2-hour chart. The 2-hour did not have divergence, so you had to be paying attention to that 30-minute, and boom, upside is there. Now, when I see this, I immediately think to myself, is there a daily divergence? So you had a 30-minute, not a 2-hour, but maybe a daily, and you look across here, boom, you have it kind of across the way. You didn't necessarily have it on the MACD in the nearest, but you did have it flatness on the RSI, so that tells me a big move can come. So I'd be paying attention to that 30-minute and going, yes, and then if that daily confirms, now I'm in a daily swing trade. I can go like this, take profit on the way up, everything looks dandy. But as far as what it's doing right now, I'd be looking for that 30-minute pullback as you're making some slight divergence. Maybe you get a 30-minute pullback that then confirms more upside. Crossing up on the S&P 500 right now for the 30-minute. It's crossing up and crossing right back down on my charts, right? I don't know if we have a little different setup, but for the most part, crossing up and crossing right back down. So giving you that divergence point, you got 8 minutes left in the bar. People still leverage mostly to the call side. Dollar still a little bit higher. What's oil doing now then? Oil starting to go green here. Look at that. Is it 4-hour? 4-hour divergence down at these lows. So oil about to see a run up, it looks like. While gold screaming down. The dollar turning up. So oof. One bad thing here. You did have the divergence led to a good move. Watch out for the structure too. You see this. We kind of come up to that level. Left head, right shoulder, which tells me 2-hour curls up, good things. Right now, 4-hour crossing down, that means bad things. So you're actually most likely scenario from this price action at this exact moment. Things can change throughout the day, but at this exact moment, this would be a likely setup. If it's going to drop off, though, that doesn't have to form. It can easily just fall through the floor, okay? So we got to treat it like it's bad until it gives us that reversal signal. Rio here, looking at this, down towards 62.66. Okay, we have 4-hour divergence, but not really the biggest fan of 4 hours still. Daily divergence is there as well. So you're looking for that positive bar still. This was a positive bar. Hey, it needed a pullback, right? So what's going on with the stock as of right now? 30-minute is pulling back. If the 2-hour starts to cross, you might experience more of a pullback, but this is some structure that you might think is okay, I would say. Right? You kind of come into this area. Okay, we're building liquidity here. See if we're able to hold up and then cross back through. That would be a good sign for Rio on the shorter time frame. The 2-hour is something you can look at here. If that starts to curl down, that's not a good sign, right? If the 2-hour curls down, that's not a good sign. That can break this. That can break this. That can maybe go make a divergence point down here. You want to look at pow. All right, pow. Let's look at pow. Pow down here. You want to look for that 2-hour divergence. It just doesn't seem to be there, but this is pretty spread out. Let's see if there's anything on the daily scale. Daily scale confirming. This is a massive divergence here for POW. Jesus, my phone is blowing up. POW has a massive divergence there on the MACD and the RSI at the same time. So this means the most likely thing that could happen here is some kind of bounce. If that goes positive, you can start to reverse that trend around. How would you want to form that if you're not going to see some kind of gap up or something like that? Well, then you'd head up to this level, experience a 2-hour pullback, and curl right back up. Left head, right shoulder. I'm glad that the patterns that are kind of showing themselves as potential patterns are very easy to read into right now, it seems. Tesla lost it. Let's see Tesla real quick if there might be some more downside. We'll get some daily expected moves for these for tomorrow, but for now that 2-hour has crossed. So downside is the most likely option, but you always want to be paying attention, right? Downside is the most likely option, but this 2-hour is positive and it's getting less overbought, right? So if that 30-minute can just curl up, that means good things can happen. All right, maybe that's all we need is to distribute this back up to here and then we start to curl down. So something to pay attention to is if that's 30 minutes still positive, can curl back up. As that keeps going negative and negative, 2 hour can see more of a pullback. So as of right now, the most likely thing to happen though is you pull back further or you pull back with time. That's the most likely thing to happen based on your 2 hour and your 30-minute chart. SPY going back down just a little bit here, but dollar is starting to subside a little bit as well. Interesting behavior there. Volatility was able to break. You need that to really break through at this moment. The Dow still hasn't fully rotated down. IWM hasn't curled over on this, so it looks like positivity could still be there a little bit for IWM because that never confirmed. Are we going to see another boring day where it just remains at high levels and trickles higher by end of day? Possibly. Possibly. Any big movers? SMCI still moving sideways. Fantastic look to SMCI. Really looking for if this 30-minute can curl up and break through something like 630. Let me look across here. 630 actually. Yeah, if it can break through that, really confirm that, we could see some good upside. I am so sorry, but I gotta pee again. I drank too much coffee. So I'll be back in 1 minute. Dang it. I'll be back in 1 minute. Dang it. Right back. We're back! What happened? Anything bad? Oh, nothing yet. We are back in action. Sorry, I'm having to use the restroom a bunch, but drank too much coffee. Give me 1 sec. Sorry, little Tubbs, our old man, he snuck through. Market crashed, I missed it. Damn it. Must have been one of those wick down things that this rigged market likes to do sometimes, right? Notice that got erased in some areas a few times. Uh-oh. Our old man Tubbs, he's got a... Well, he's peeing as much as me today. GME 1 hour is crossing. I still like my 2 hours a little bit better. Sorry, there's some planes rolling around. Still like my 2 hours a little bit better, but this is like an interesting look, right? Because this is a breakdown area. You're consolidating. And there's like 2 bases in this city, but that's not the usual plane I hear. Interesting. 2 hour curls up though. This is great to be consolidating here. It means, hey, we can get back within this kind of crazy price action area where we actually saw upside. Hit the gun. I have both of my guns next to me, just in case you guys wanted to see it. Floated GME calls hard. Yeah, the thing about that is I've been doing, I did an AMC call in this area, but I do like a whole month out. Per the butcher of Wall Street, it won't crash till September. And that would add up to kind of some of our thinking, right? The 2 hour. it kind of would add up. If you see some sharpness, you curl back up, you get that divergence. Look where you're at, September, right? So maybe, and that actually, I mean, obviously we just drew this out, but this would be right in line with GME earnings as well. Interesting stuff there. Show you the pew pew. Which one do you guys want to see? You can only see it. I'll make sure nothing's loaded. So you're aware. Little clock, you can see. Very nice. Very nice. That's what I carry with me all the time, Glock 19. I try not to put any bells and whistles on it because it scratches my tummy sometimes. And then now we got to put it in the holster, make sure we're safe, right? We'll show the AR-15 in a second though. Kids, I know nothing about guns besides the fact of safety. That's all I practice with guns. Try not to flag anyone ever. I make sure that's unloaded most of the time, except for that's my carry one, so I keep that loaded all the time. Is that registered, sir? I'm in Kansas, so I don't need anything in order to carry concealed. Good old Kansas. Agent Lucas. Yeah, I have a lot of fun with it. I respect guns a lot, and I think that's a big part of it, is just respecting the fact that it is an item that could damage people, so you got to be very careful with it. Yeah, in Kansas, you do not need any kind of license to conceal carry. In Kansas, you have to be over the age of 21. You can open carry when you're 18. She's purty. Yeah, she's nice. I like her a lot. She's great. She's fantastic. Her name's Gigi. Gigi the Glock. Real quick, all stock. Someone asked about... Jackie pulled a fib time zone the other day, and the next one is 11:11, almost too perfect for the crash. Ooh. All stock, like, yeah, just how I bought it. I thought about getting a new spring for it and stuff, but I kind of treated it like it's my first one. I'm not going to mess with it. It's a BB gun. Yeah, the gun's all stock, so I haven't messed with that at all. This one I've messed with a little bit. My AR, I've put some things on it, but I've only shot it once. I'll show you guys that here in a second. As far as it goes for, oh, you have a Ruger SR9. Okay, cool. Cool. Looking to get something else later on, but for now, just want to make sure I'm good with everything. I want to get a light on mine, my Glock, but then it's kind of hard to conceal carry with the holster that I got, so... as far as it goes, the Kava look here is you got 2-hour divergence now. See if that's able to roll over. That would be bad. You got earnings, though. Earnings, anything can happen, right? Downside could be the most likely option as this is getting really excited and we can see the divergence here, so just be careful with it. But earnings is always going to be a 50-50. So if I give you technicals here and tell you, oh, yeah, we came up to this area, now we're getting overexcited, even though we got some retests of that area, all of these can go out the window if they just say something good. Exactly, Jonathan. Yeah, I didn't even put like a magazine in my gun until I was comfortable just like holding it, comfortable with the motions of it and all that good stuff. Drives me nuts when my wife is at the range sometimes because she needs to go through some safety protocols there. So I did the same thing with my AR. I still messed with it for like almost an entire month before I actually went and shot it. I still mess with it, make sure I'm comfortable with it. And that's a big thing. You got to understand that it can be a fun thing, but it can be a dangerous thing. And I think that's good to say. No, that's why that's like the whole point of the Glock too, is like it's Glock, right? It's good. I understand some people don't like it, but I'm going to keep everything the same. I'm not going to mess with it. The only thing I did like is my buddy has a different trigger. The trigger's pretty heavy there. It's got like 3 walls on it, so. Crossing up on the daily for RGR. Ooh, there's some daily signals here. Now, it does look a little bit flaggy, right? You're just trailing up, so you have to pay attention to something here. Yeah, 2-hour crosses over, you gotta pay attention to that. Well, yeah, as always, capital gains tax is just like, I would say unrealized gains is the most bad thing. I am a big, like, if you guys understand my sentiment towards taxes in general, I think it's a huge waste. I think it's a waste of time. And if you want proof of that, a fake Elon Musk account agrees with me. Okay, my comment on guns or on taxes. I'm like, the reason I think taxes are a waste of money, okay, because it always ends up tax money that goes to the government. Current administration is the most inefficient with money in history. Every 100 billion cent that passes, 50 to 75% of that money just goes missing. Communities need to raise each other up. Taxes are just a waste. So I think our tax money would go better to community institutions that are trying to promote the community. That's how I feel about taxes. I think taxes have turned into just a way to get some money to take care of maybe just the interest on our debt while they can print more and more money, and I don't like that. You want to be, the community wants to be involved, but I've talked about this before. A lot of people have given up a lot of things for convenience. Oh, I don't have to help my community at all because the government's going to do that. Oh, I don't have to save a down payment because the government's going to do that. It's all convenience, and you're slowly giving away rights and having to pay more taxes for more convenience that is then getting wasted. That's why I don't like it. That's one of the arguments that I like KGB. If you're going to just keep printing money that's more than the tax money that you're getting, then why not charge taxes and just go completely into debt? How are they going to host fun parties without taxes? Yeah, how are they going to run for president and things like that without you donating to them? It's like they're already rich as balls, and they have the most rich as balls friends, and you have to donate to them for them to run. Isn't that funny? Well, you would be more generous too. Right now, taxes are being wasted, so what? Everyone hates taxes. If you had a community that you could donate to and that would help you with your tax burden or something like that, if you had a community driven thing, well, then you're physically giving money to the community. You could maybe be a part of it. You could really be involved, all of those things. So I just think it's a better outlook, but we do substitute a lot of progress, I would say, for convenience, and I don't like that. I don't like that fact there. SPY, let's see, dollar, you still increasing? Dollar's still trying to increase here. We'll keep an eye on this. It's true, Cass. Everything's a waste, and that's because of one simple thing. Politics are run by lawyers, not by business people. Business people make better decisions, and the reason business people make better decisions is to benefit what they are running. And so they want to benefit the lives of their employees. If you're a good business owner, you're always thinking of how to make the business better, because then it will reflect on throughout the whole thing, right? If I make the business better, that means we can make more money. That means we can maybe pay some people more things, or we can grow and cause more jobs to be supplied to the market. That's why I don't like government trying to make jobs. It doesn't work. We just notice the numbers are completely fake. If a business person took out a loan, made a business, and hired people, those numbers would in no way be fake. But the fact that the government can just take money and give out jobs and say they've given out jobs and just not, it's kind of like upsetting to me. Opposition or militia for helping each other and not the machine. Yes, we are hamsters on a wheel to them as of now. The sad part is you can't get off the wheel. I actually really like, have you guys watched Mr. Robot? I started watching Mr. Robot. I really like that show. I think it's very cool. It's the perfect amount of like corruption and fighting back against the system and all that kind of thing. I think it's a very, very cool show. Hey, 99 cent there. $1 from Jeremiah Williams. Thank you so much. Third super live on the stream. As honest government would greatly increase taxes to pay for all their spending. Instead, they print, inflate the money supply, dishonest taxes. Yeah, it's not that they want to increase taxes to help pay for the debt that they created. they want to raise taxes to extend the debt further, and that's a big problem in how inflation can continue. I don't like that. Rich Dad Poor Dad, yep, great book, decent book there. I've read pieces of it, not all of it. My brother's read the whole thing like twice. All right, anyone seeing anything crazy? I noticed volatility still popping now. Did you guys notice that? Volatility starting to pop up a little bit here with that 30-minute cross up. We got to see if a divergence is made, but for a second there, KGB, I thought you wrote another word for lady parts, and I was like, all right, PSNY. This is, I don't know what this is. Is that a 2-hour pullback? 2 hours pulling back now. This might be a 1 hour. Yeah, this is a 1 hour. If the 1 hour crosses up, you can see positivity. This is actually cool though. I really like this. We head towards breakdown area. From that breakdown area, we cup, we get the handle, we head up, we retest the low. Now we can break out. Maybe we can go test this liquidity in here. I actually really like that. That's good behavior. And thank you again so much, Jeremiah, for the dollar bill, y'all. Dude's a fraud. Yeah, I kind of didn't want to say anything, but the reason I've never read all of Rich Dad Poor Dad is because I've watched, I don't even remember the guy's name, but I've watched him talk before. He's like, you want to get rich? Buy 6 houses. It's like, yeah, let me just go buy 6 houses on credit right now. I'm like, that's not a logical thing. And when they say like, what should you do at the beginning? He never says like, oh, get a good trade job, work for a while, work for 10 years, save up a bunch of money, then use that money to get a loan against that money to then buy an asset. And then that asset, you can get another loan and then you could start to rent it out. Like, it's just, he doesn't go back far enough for me. Maybe he does in his book and I just haven't read enough of it. But yeah, that's something for me. I'm just like, some of his interviews, I'm like, he's just like, buy a gold miner company on credit and don't pay taxes. He's right about that, right? If you go majorly into debt, yeah, you're probably not going to pay taxes. But yeah, I'd like him to go a little further. You can't just tell someone, hey, go buy a gold miner company, go buy this, go buy an oil mining thing, go buy, it just doesn't make sense to me. No, debt is a way to not have a tax burden, that's for sure. And it's an easy way to be kind of like always getting more money if you keep going into more and more debt. But the problem is eventually you gotta pay for it eventually. So, but the smartest people in the world, the richest people in the world, they just make a ton of money, then go into debt, and they have enough money to back most of it. The problem that we're seeing these days is now they don't have enough money to back. They have like $1 million and they take out a loan for $100 million at this point, and you're like, okay, that's a little problem. Any thoughts on SoFi? And then we can maybe go look at Carvana for a sec. Wait, is that Carvana? CVNA? I don't remember. Yeah, and that's not how it's supposed to be, right, Wash Consultant? That's not really how it's supposed to be. That was just implemented pretty much once we went away from the gold standard, right? Once we went away from gold standard, that's when the debt system was implemented. That's when you say the problem began, I guess. For this here, is a 30-minute able to curl up? 30-minute curls up, that could be good. I'd maybe look at an hourly for more confirmation, but you could still make some more structure. Maybe this is, no, I mean, I'd really like us to get to this level up here and then start to do something like this. So watch out for a little divergence in here, but I'd like that look better for SoFi. Hourly curls up, you can see positivity. 2 hour probably rotating down, so most likely you're still in that 2 hour pullback for a minute. I think it's cool, but you have to have a point where you have a cap on your leverage in some way, because you can't give every millionaire $100 million and say go go go. That's just not a good idea. Right? It's just a way for you to pump money into the system in a way, and then overall, then they pump money in the system, you raise taxes, so even if you do make money, you pay more in taxes. The money always ends up flowing back into the government with the system we have now because of the taxes mostly. But I think you should have a cap on your leverage in some way, because you just can't keep going into debt like that. It's just not right. Something's off with it. You're printing too much money, because debt is money at that point. It's all fake numbers on a screen. So I'm fine with a little bit of a debt system, but one that is manageable, not one that just goes bazonkers. I can't understand UPS. Oh wait, weren't we supposed to look at something else for Joseph real quick? Sorry, people are calling me. I'm trying to go as long as I can this morning. I've got a lot of stuff going on today, but I'm trying to go as long as I can. Carvana, this has me worried immediately. This has me worried immediately just because of how this is going to look on the daily scale. Now, to put it in perspective, if a stock is going to continue to move higher, this is some great looks. These are some great swings. They're all building liquidity in these swings down. I really like these. If I go into a 30-minute right here, I'm going to see a 30-minute divergence. So remember we were talking about the 2-hour for the SPY turning down and seeing something sharp, but pretty down. Look at this, okay, look at this. This is kind of what I'm talking about. Something like this, something flat like this. You know what I mean? Something like this. Just some little thing going on here that can lead to upside. Those will be great hints. So the reason I'm a little bit worried about this is just because you're forming a lot of daily divergence here. A lot of daily divergence. So if for some reason you just see 3 days worth of selling and you go down, you break through this 20, you've confirmed a pretty good amount of divergence and you can get to that center line, and we'll see if that rotates back up. But it just seems like a time where I'm like, ooh, maybe I'm gonna wait a month before I look at this. Well, and that's the thing too, Banana Sam. It's like, you know, our government says, hey, we have a bunch of gold in a vault somewhere. Do they? Do they? And the other thing is, even if they do, did they somehow leverage that to get more debt? So is it, I mean, I guess the value of that gold would go up with the value of the debt too still, if you keep borrowing against for that amount. But for the most part, you would say, ooh, that's going to make gold inflate like crazy. That would make sense, Wash. I like your guys' points. Your guys' points are fun. Thanks again for the info. Enjoy your day and happy birthday. Thank you, Wash Consultant. You're welcome in here anytime. The Catholic Church has their gold on display. Yeah, I grew up Catholic, by the way. But I had my own reasons for not attending church anymore. But I think that's a better, you know, our school systems here, I think, is a better way of getting community involvement, community stuff going than tax money. Like I said, I literally said last stream, what did they do with our government here in Kansas right now? Well, they just took away a bunch of playgrounds for kids and took away parking so that they could charge more for parking because they bought a parking garage at the peak inflation. That's just not good. NCLH, FFIE is flying. Look for that daily to cross up, Fardis. I like it. Look for that daily to cross up. All right, we got some cruise stuff going on, a little flaggy here. So immediately I see that daily crossing up. I'm like, okay, we're getting towards that center line. We could see some kind of move, but uh-oh, we're flagging a bit here. So I immediately have to go into a 2-hour. I have to say if the 2-hour crosses down, that could get a little ugly, right? You can kind of see how we're just building up. Now, it can continue to go up. Look for those dailies to keep seeing positivity. You just hope to get out of whatever is going on right here, right? You just hope that this does not curl back down. As of right now, everything is positive for this one here. Just so you're aware, everything is positive for this, right? I'm guessing even the 30-minute is positive. So 30 minutes turning up, still there. 30-minute crosses down, 2-hour crosses down, bad things. Daily has just crossed up. It's not positive, but it is saying bounce. So everything is in the upward direction now. Just watch if that starts to turn down. Can't understand normal thinking. Try again, ask again, because I don't know what that means. Well, I think it was like, what was it? If you study a little bit, you're like, okay, the Catholic Church, after some big war. Was it World War II? I don't remember which war it was, but after some big war, like all the gold was shipped into Rome or something like that. Ooh, SPY really starting to drop here. Gotta watch out for that volatility starting to pop up. Uh-oh, uh-oh. I don't know, I'd have to look at it again. I was reading a bunch on that one day. What'd you do for your birthday? Let me tell you guys. I'm gonna let you guess what I'm eating for lunch. You guys know me. A lot of you guys know me. What am I eating for lunch? Come on. You guys got this. This is an easy question. I really want to be myself for a second and say a joke, but I'm kind of a dirty joker a lot of the time. I used to not have a filter. Now I have a filter, so I think about what I say. But when I was in college, I said some dirty jokes. I was about to put up a poll. I kind of want to do it, but I just don't want to get demonetized because it would be rough. That was the Holy War. Oh, yes, the Holy War. Just like the Crusades, right? Just like the Crusades. C-shot. I was gonna put up a poll that said, what am I eating for lunch today? Pho or deadass? Yeah, I'm just putting Q-pie mayo on some toast and just going to town. No, I'm getting pho. You guys know me, I'm getting pho. I'm not gonna eat money. I don't obsess over money that much. Both are valid. Both valid. Tup. Is that Tupperware? Because this one was a big one too. These are starting to pop too. Look at that. This one had divergence, didn't it? No, not really. But still, you get that daily cross up. Look what happens a few days later. Boom, positivity. Maybe if you even managed to trade the 2 hour crossed up before this even happened. It did. 2 hour crossed up with a flatness here, really close to the center line. Boom, good move. Love it for Tupperware. These are starting to run, dude. Staff going crazy too. God dang, why are there so many things? There's so many things are going nuts. Kind of worries me because the market looks like it's topping a little bit, at least for a minor top. Are we gonna see something crazy from like, I don't know, some certain stocks? I don't know. Like see something crazy, they're like, oh my gosh, GME went to $80 again, and then earnings comes out and it starts to flush and they go, look, earnings was really bad. Earnings was really bad, you should pay attention to this. FFIE doing pretty good. Costco pot stickers, I'm gonna try those. I don't have a Costco membership, but maybe I'll see my mom today. She likes her Costco stuff. My mom's obsessed with like Costco now. See, but at the end of the day, you're not seeing AMC or GME run. That's too bad. SPY flipping to negative. Dollar remaining a little bit the same. So right now, 2 hour pullback still the most likely. Sideways price action still the most likely. But 2 hours are crossing down. But you really want this dollar to keep extending, in my opinion. And we still have the PCC at 0.79. So good level for a trap. IWM, did that start to flush? Did this 30-minute cross back down? It has crossed down at this moment, right? It has crossed down at this moment. We'll see if that's able to give us a bigger 2 hour pullback. See any spots of support for the SPY? First of all, whenever I talk about support, I'm always just looking at the daily and weekly expected moves first. Those are the two areas I'm going to pay attention to. Because if you look at where this daily expected move or weekly expected move is, daily is the first thing I look at for the day. The weekly, though, look where it is. It is perfectly within this liquidity. And if we got some kind of 2 hour bigger flash pullback or something like that, that would convince people, oh, this thing's tanking. Well, that area would be a very good level to get to, right? That'd be fan-freaking-tastic to go into this liquidity, see that 2 hour get close to that center line, and then curl right back up. That would be fantastic. So that's kind of what I'm looking for from the SPY. I think that level is very important. So like 544.50. But if you want to, yeah, 556.30 is the first level to pay attention. And look at that, it coincides with where we broke out from, right? We just broke above this level, and now we could go retest that. So that would be more the 30-minute scale, right? You see the 30-minute get down, get past the center line maybe for a brief moment, then curl right back up, and boom, positivity. And then what if there's a divergence there? That's what we got to pay attention to from now. Swing calls, well, as far as those other stocks go, when those dailies do cross up, as long as it doesn't look like, hey, they need like a big 2-hour pullback or they don't have a reversal signal, okay, awesome. When you want to more so look for the swing is this is way up high. So you want this to consolidate at least for some time. That way this MACD can get towards that center line. I'll show you right here. You see this? Great move, right? What did we do at this level? We consolidated. And then we curled up by the center line twice. One was a fake out, one was a good one. So one was a manage the trade, one was a holy crap, what a good trade. That crossed up, positivity came. That's what you're looking for here. Some kind of consolidation, some kind of dip down, something like that in this area would make the most sense going forward unless we experience some kind of black swan, which whenever you say black swan, people are like, what do you expect? Is there a black swan coming? No, it's just you don't see it coming, but we know there's plenty of problems that if something were to happen, it would make sense. So you want to just be aware of these type of pullbacks. It doesn't mean I'm going to take some kind of big play, right? I'm just like, I'm aware of it, and that's it. Alrighty, we're heading up into about 10:30, so this is where I kind of have to call it for the day. I'm bummed out about it. We're finally seeing some red, and of course it's my birthday and I have stuff planned, but I really do appreciate you guys being here. I'll try to make it back by the end of the day, if not giving at least some kind of short update on YouTube, depending on what shakes up in the market here. I think tomorrow's going to be a pretty important day, right? We have Jerome Powell talking, and I think that that's what people are going to wait for. We could see some funky things until that actually happens. Let me check real quick to make sure there isn't any kind of data coming out tomorrow. Yeah, we just get that Fed Jerome Powell speech right at the beginning of the day. So what we're going to pay attention to are 30 minutes able to roll up with Jerome Powell speaking? Are 2 hours able to roll up with Jerome Powell speaking? As you approach Friday and you start to get outside of these moves, like later on, maybe towards the middle of the day on Friday, if we do something like that, you can still see something crazy. So I would pay attention to it. I think you're still more likely to see this consolidate or pull back, right? Consolidate like this, move sideways, or pull back. And maybe we get one of those things that's like a big range that gets smaller, smaller, and then we break out. I think that would be something likely to pay attention to. But 9 a.m. tomorrow, I will definitely see you guys then. I'm going to try to hop on later on in the day, or at least give some kind of YouTube video so we can give you the daily expected moves. And make sure if you're trying to learn this stuff, the course, it's only on sale. It's a great day. It's my birthday, so you got to take it. But we only got a few days left, really, a little over a week until that sale goes away. So note that if you're trying to learn this stuff. The other thing I would say is the Patreon. We give out every single Thursday night. We give you daily ranges for every stock that we cover on this channel. And it's pretty helpful for a Friday if you're trying to take profit and things like that. I can give you that little bit of convincing, like this is as high up as it's supposed to go for today. I have expiration, even if it's coming up next week. Maybe you're like, I have expiration coming up. I don't want a big pullback to happen. So maybe that could convince me to take profit. We talk a little bit about that in the course as well. So thank you guys so much for coming. Thank you for giving me a great morning for my birthday. Honestly, it's fantastic. I'm having a great day. I really do appreciate you guys being here, liking, subscribing. You guys are great, and I can't say that enough. I really appreciate this community, and I hope to grow it even further so we can get more people educated about how to read into these signals. So thank you. Good luck with your trades today. Trade like water. Manage that risk at all times, because even though this could be a simple 2-hour pullback, it always could be something worse, even though I believe the most probable thing is we're probably going to do something like this, right? We're probably going to do this, leak up into September, and then we might need to watch out a little bit. All right, guys, I hope you have a great day. I'm signing off right away. I might be on later today, so keep those notifications on. Make sure you're subscribed, but have a great, great day, all right? It's my birthday, so you have to have a good day. Peace. Wait a second. Do you guys want to see it? You guys want to see it? And yes, it's empty. You can see that right there. It's empty. Like it? Sweet. All right, guys. See you later. Peace.